Have you ever wanted to see what 100 days looks like in one of the world's craziest mod packs? Well, here it is. In this video, I will be spending 100 days in Crazycraft, a mod pack full of weird and strange mobs and even stranger places. Get ready as we uncover this crazy world together. Get it? Crazy world because it's Crazycraft? I'm the best. Why are you still recording? Just start the goddamn video. On day 1, I got some wood like any other world, but I also looted a grave and some other small structures. I found a grave that had emeralds, so I just dug a hole and created an emerald sword while waiting through the night. When it became day, I got out of my hole and looted a tower right next to my hole. It had some amazing loot which allowed me to step up my gear. I searched around a bit more for something good and I found a floating island above me. It was a slime island, which is pretty useless. I looked into making a transmutation table, which allows you to copy any item in the game as long as you have enough EMC for it. EMC is like the currency in this mod pack, kind of. I just waited out the night while doing this. Since the transmutation table was too expensive for me right now, I went out searching for more resources. I looted another insane wooden tower and found a tent where there was a trap under it, but I saw it from a mile away. On my map, I saw it look like a giant fortress and started to make my way towards it. While I was approaching, a bear started to attack me and I built myself into a corner and killed him through the bottom. I looked at the fortress on my map and saw an evoker, so I just waited out the night. When it turned day, I came out of my hole to look at the fortress. Hell no. There was a big golem looking thing inside and I probably didn't have good enough gear to take this place on. I decided to loot some other smaller structures like an illager tower, which is way too weak, some random tower for slime balls, a grave, and I even killed some super spider or something at a wither skeleton tree where there was a wither skeleton skull. On day 5, I looted a house in the middle of the woods, and since it had a bed, I decided to make it my home. There was a dungeon underneath it, which I decided to explore, and it took all day. I was still looting a bit more of it the next day, and I almost died multiple times, so I just decided to go mining instead. I used a recall potion I had found in a chest to teleport back to my house. It was night when I got back, so I organized some stuff and made some really good emerald armor. The next day, I wanted to go looking for lava to make obsidian for a transmutation table and another portal, but I got distracted by a bunch of new structures like a crater and a gay hot air balloon. I'm not calling it hot. I also found a dominator or decimator biome with some undead catalysts, I think they were called. Undead or wither. I can't really remember. You guys are seeing it though. I figured out I can use these catalysts to make strength and regeneration potions. I also found another end tower, which was those wooden towers, and I came home since I needed arrows and the sun was setting. I also created a new emerald axe. Day 8 was the day I would get lava, I thought. I continued to get distracted looting much of the same structures as the last day, and then I teleported home again. Day 9 was the day I would get lava, and it actually was. I got 14 obsidian for my portal and transmutation table. I ran back to the house since I used all of my potions, and another bear tried to kill me. I built the frame of the portal and slept. The next day, I killed the bear when I went outside to get flint and steel to light the portal. So I brought back gravel to my house and broke it until I got flint and went through the portal. I got the rest of the glowstone I needed for the transmutation table, so I came back home, built it, and looked at some really good items I could craft. On day 11, I went to get some resources in the nether in order to begin making a supremium sword and armor. That was pretty much it. I just came back and slept. On day 12, I spent the entire day actually making the sword and armor. This sword and armor were good because they were twice as good as my emerald gear, meaning I could tank so much more bosses. On day 13, I tried to enchant the sword and armor, but it turns out you actually can't unless it's with enchanted books. I didn't realize this until like day 70 or 80 or something, but I decided to go back to that illager fortress, which I easily destroyed, probably because my gear was about twice as good as emerald. The sun had set while I was there, so I just waited the night out. On the next day, I looted a few more small structures, and then came back to the house. I killed some random small mobs along the way to test the sword a bit more, and I looked into making even better tools and armor. On day 15, it was pretty bad. I went out looking for more structures, as usual, and I found an end tower that was burning down since it was over a lava pool. I got all of the loot from that, and then I found a rundown temple which had levers to open a secret staircase basement. Inside of the basement was Medusa. Since it's Medusa's temple, if you look at her, you get fucked. And I didn't realize she was coming upstairs, so I couldn't turn in time for me to dodge her fucking. She fucked me. Medusa fucked me. She destroyed all my armor and made me lose my totem. And the bitch even laughed. I crafted some emerald armor as backup and I traveled home, never to mess with this bitch again, until I do. On day 16, I remade my supremium armor, which cost me about 1 million EMC, and I searched for more structures to find more charms and equipment. I found a tent with a horseshoe charm, allowing me to fully avoid fall damage. When it got dark, I went back to the tent and slept. I did the same thing on day 17. I found a massive tower with a cloud near it. I went up to the fake cloud, and a blaze spawned on the chest. The chest had a pet and some good loot. I don't remember which pet it was, but you guys are seeing it. I went to the tower and cleared the first room with ease. The Vindicators on the second floor still do too much damage, however, and they fucked me like Medusa did. But this time I was able to escape. I used a recall potion to teleport back to the tent, and I slept there for the night. On day 18, I traveled back to my house and found out about all the modium armor, which is way too OP. You can make it with all the modium ingots, which you can only get in ocean biomes, so I went to an ocean biome to try to find it. But the sun was setting, so I set up a waypoint to my house and waited the night out in a hole. And no, I don't know why I didn't mine in the ocean right next to me. I did on day 19 though, and I mined all the way to day 21, where I found 1 ingot. I kept mining at the start of day 22 when I remembered that I can duplicate the Aldemodium ingot in the transmutation table. I used a magic mirror bauble I found while exploring the tents, and then I flew home. I also enchanted my armor a few days ago, I just can't remember when. I was only able to make a second ingot, so I decided to just save up my EMC. On day 23, I went looting for more structures to get more EMC. I didn't find anything good, so I just slept in a tent. On day 24, however, I found a Cyclops cave, which gave me a lot of EMC with the gold nugget piles. I also put on bunny ears while I was exploring, and I started clearing a tower during the night. I finished clearing the tower the next day, and I warped back to my house and deposited all of my EMC. After all of that grinding, I was able to make the boots. Yeah, just the boots. Guess I'm going out for more EMC. I looted a few more small structures than I slept. I found a graveyard on day 26, and it had a ton of high value EMC items, and it took the entire day to loot. Yeah, it was big. Day 27 was good because I found a massive tower with insane loot in it. It was so big I couldn't even finish it. It took me until day 28 to finish it, and then I teleported back to the base to deposit my EMC, and I made the helmet. I enchanted it, and then I slept for the next day. On day 29, I went searching for an end tower or something to give me a ton of EMC. I saw a box in the sky near my house that I hadn't seen earlier. It had a spawner with Vexens or Vexenites. I can't remember exactly, but they dropped okay stuff for EMC. It would just take a while to get a lot, so not really that good. I discovered that later on towards the end of the video. I did break it though, so that sucks. I found another end tower, then warped back home. On day 30, I deposited my EMC and went searching for more stuff. I found another end tower along the way with a bunch of smaller structures, which got me only 150,000 EMC away from the leggings. I was finally able to make the leggings on day 31 after I looted another end tower and some smaller structures once again. I used the morph mod on day 32 to turn into a bat so I could fly. I looked around for clouds so that I could get more pets and equipment. On days 33 to 35, I did the same thing. On day 35 though, I remembered the old giant Illager tower where I almost died to the Vindicators. I decided I would go there and clear the top floor, but didn't realize how much EMC I would get from the lower floors yet. Day 36 is when I did the clearing. I also switched to the blaze morph since it is more like creative flight. It just makes annoying blaze sounds. From days 37 to 39, I went for more pets and baubles, but later on day 39, I found a giant tower with a boss spawner on top. I needed 3 keys and I began to clear all of the floors in the tower. On day 40, I finally finished the tower and killed the land giant boss at the top. He was easy as hell. The loot in the tower was pretty good, but I wish it was even better, or at least more of a challenge to kill him. I realized that the best gear in the game is really easy to get. Kind of. You guys will see what I mean later on. But I wish the boss had like 1,000 health instead of 150 or whatever low ass health he had. On days 41 to 43, I went mining for uranium and titanium since I saw a sword called the Ultimate Sword. Twice as good as my current sword and 4 times as good as my last Tiger's Eye sword, which I made shortly after I made the Emerald sword. However, this didn't work out since they are just so rare and by the end I got bored. Later on in day 43, I made a portal to the Twilight Forest, and I killed the Naga and the Twilight Lich, which you guys are seeing on screen now. On day 44, I found some bosses I can't kill yet in the Twilight Forest, such as the Snow Queen. I also found a maze which made me want to kill myself. I got stuck in this maze for the next 4 days. There's not even any fucking good loot in this fucking maze. In order to get out, I had to kill myself in lava and make a path of dirt back to my body. When I finally got out, I left the Twilight Forest and went back there never again. Until I did. You guys will see that later too. On day 49, I found out about Vibranium Armor, which is the next upgrade to the Aldemodium Armor. I needed to go to the Nether and find a Crimson Forest or Warped Forest biome and go super high up in order to find the Vibranium Ore. For the next 3 days, from days 50 to 52, I searched for the ore. I found the Warped Forest on day 51, and I found the ore on day 52. But of course, I couldn't mine it yet. I switched my amethyst pickaxe to a ruby pickaxe, and that allowed me to mine it. I was just able to make the whole set with 1 ingot to spare. I started to make my way back to the house, but it's gonna take a while. On day 53, I finally made it back home as the sun was setting, so I slept to skip to day 54, where I made ender eyes and started traveling to the end. I did this because I found out about unobtainium ore, the absolute best armor in the game. It only spawned in end highland biomes, but I'm just gonna skip over it finding it since I can't even mine it even after what I do later. You'll see that again later too. On day 55 I just spent looking for the portal, but on day 56 I actually found the portal, and I finished preparing to fight the dragon. I jumped into the portal and started destroying the crystals. I killed the dragon and started looking for the end highlands biome where the unobtainium ore spawns. I also found 3 end cities across days 57 and 58. After I realized I couldn't mine the unobtainium, I went back home after making a waypoint for it and started looking at how to mine it. I needed an allthemodium pickaxe, which you can only get from Tinker's construct items. I was working on this for 5 days, from days 59 to 63, and I'll leave it out to prevent the Tinker's construct players from getting pissed at how I built all the shit. But just know, this shit didn't work. You'll see that in a minute too. On day 64, I went back to the Illager Tower because there was actually unobtainium inside one of the floors. I didn't show it for dramatic effect, but this floor has a ton of ores from everywhere in the game, including the vibranium ore, which I didn't even need to go to the nether for. I could have skipped 3 full days of progression if I had checked the damn floor, but of course it didn't work. I couldn't mine the unobtainium. I tried to look up why it didn't work, but I couldn't figure out why. I gave up on the unobtainium since my armor was already overpowered, and I decided to make the allthemodium sword. Bad idea. You'll see that in a minute too. On day 65, I went out to test the sword, and I found that there was a negative debuff of negative 150 speed. That's right, I can't even move with the sword I spent over 1 million EMC on. I could only move if I'm flying. I went back home to make a speed charm, and that didn't even work. On day 66, I was just killing more mobs with it to test how much damage it actually did. And from day 67 to 69, I just got back the EMC to make back what I lost. On day 70 though, I did a little bit more grinding and came home and looked for swords that are good alternatives that I could actually move with. However, I didn't find any of the same damage level, so I just switched back to Supremium. I enchanted my armor and made more EMC and made a trophy wall with all of the heads and bosses I've killed. On day 72, I tried to make infinite EMC but couldn't figure out how, so I just grinded Vexenites at a new spawner that I found. Before that, however, I created a red Katar, which has the same damage as a Supremium sword, but has more range and acts as an axe, shears, and even a hoe, along with a sword as a weapon. Day 73 was where I just grinded more. On day 74, I tried to make a red matter pickaxe to see if that would be able to mine the unobtainium ore, but it can't. It must be genuinely unobtainable or some shit. I decided to go back to the Twilight Forest to try to kill more bosses. On day 75 to 76, I was in the Twilight Forest, and time felt like it moved faster there. I couldn't find any more killable bosses, so I just came home and I slept. On the next day, I found out about some sort of EMC collector that generates EMC. I couldn't figure out how this worked, but I upgraded it to the 5th pink matter tier just in case. Then I broke it with my hand and lost it, since you can only mine it back with a pickaxe. And I decided to go mining in the nether for the next few days to make my EMC back. I went mining from days 78 to 79 to gain back 6.09 million EMC. I tried to look at the wiki it said to look at if you needed help figuring it out, but the page never loaded, so that's out the window. On day 80, I went to go to the red ant dimension to find something called a duplicator tree. It's supposed to duplicate any block that's placed onto it. Little did I know, it's probably not implemented into the game yet. I spent days 80 and 81 looking for it, but I couldn't find it, so I just teleported home. I tried to spawn it in to see if it worked, but no, it didn't. On day 82, I was AFK, but I came back a bit later to the decision to grind Vexenites, for no reason. I don't even need any EMC, I already have insanely stacked gear. On day 83, I just grinded more Vexenites, but I came back to the house a bit later and made a massive sugarcane stack to pass the time. This is the only time I messed with it, and I didn't even see how much more it grew at the end, and I was just AFK on day 84. On days 85 to 92, I tried looking for a boss, or at least something strong or cool. Yes, 8 days! I found some random small structures, and on day 89, I found an ocean monument, and when I killed a guardian, I got a charm that makes me immune to mining fatigue, so I guess that's good. On day 93, I tried to remake the duplicator tree in another way, but it still didn't work. I think the functionality for most, or even all of the ways to make infinite EMC, were either patched, or just not coded in yet. I was exploring on day 94, when I found one of the old Illager fortresses right next to a dragon's nest. I obviously took them both out with ease like sheesh, And I went AFK for a minute, and I slept with my bed pet I got some time ago. I can't even see where I got it in my notes. On day 95, I was still exploring when I found an end tower, and I left by accident. Yeah, I left the game. I came back though, and I finished looting the end tower. Day 96 was cool because I found a giant battle tower like the one on day 39. I finished looting it on day 97, and then I came back home and deposited all of my EMC. Same story, the land boss fucking sucks. On day 98, I had no idea what to do since I had already killed the Ender Dragon, and I don't know why I didn't just find more Wither Skulls and kill the Wither. But I finally decided to build a lovely house in the nearby plains where I spawned to end off the world. I made a red morning star, which I wasn't recording for, but it's like a pickaxe and a shovel. It was useless anyways, and I got rid of it. Then I began to work on the house. It took me all the way until day 100 to finally finish the house and move all of my stuff over, but when I finally did, I made sure to admire not only that bad boy, but the work I had put into my entire world along with this video. I had to record about 35 hours of footage for this video, and I did that in just 3 days. So, W mental, for real, for real. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below what you would like to see me do next, such as another 100 days video or even a full series on something like the old Crazy Craft. Or I could even make my own mod pack, and that would be kind of cool. And also, don't forget to subscribe and join the Discord. The link is in the description, and I'll see you guys next month.